Welcome to Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help educate you about narcissistic abuse because your feelings do matter. Hi, and welcome to another broadcast of Narc Abuse No More with your host, Dr. and Evangelist K.O. Rich. Thanks for tuning in today. Today is Monday, June the 20th of 2022. I pray that you've had a blessed, stress-free, narcissistic-free, abuse-free week so far, and that the remainder of this week will continue to be so as well. But if not, we're going to be talking about a few things today. Again, my name is Dr. K.O. Rich with Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help you admit what you feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, because your feelings do matter. Yes, they do. But before we go on with today's broadcast, I would like to invite you to visit us on our website at www.narcabusenomore.org. Again, that website address is www.narcabusenomore.org. And on our website, you find valuable information regarding narcissism, regarding relationships, and if you have missed any of these broadcasts, all you have to do is go directly to our website and listen to us from there. You can also tune in to Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, SoundCloud, Amazon Audible, YouTube, Rumble. We're on a variety of different platforms. And so if you have missed any, guess what? You can go to the archives and always listen to us. Now, we're on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central. But if you're not able to tune in at that time, then you can always catch us in the archives. That's right. And the thing is, download your favorite app, and you will find us most likely on your favorite app, or the ones I just listed, and put us in the favorites, and it will alert you as to whenever we post new broadcasts. All right, so what are we talking about today? Oh, just a reminder, I have started doing blogs. I don't do them on a regular, but I do have one I just posted last week about toxic people. And so many of you are listening to this because you're dealing with toxic individuals. So check it out. I plan on putting one up this week, later on this week, and you can follow us on the blog. So go directly to the website, and you can go up under our blog and tune in, actually find out the information I'm putting on that particular week. All right, so today, what are we talking about today? Today, we're talking about knowing if a person is really sorry. Is their sorry real? Is their sorry real? Or should I say, is their sorrow real? But when they come to you and say, I'm sorry, is their sorry real? And I was going to talk about something else today, but I got this message in my on my Facebook page for narcissistic abuse. If you're not following us on there, please follow on Narcissistic Abuse No More. I want to give you the website too, narcissistic-abuse-no-more.com. That's our other link to our site. So you can either go up under narcabusenomore.org, or you can type in narcissistic-abuse-no-more.com. But for those who are following on our Facebook page, sometimes I get messages on my Facebook page and up under narcissistic abuse, and sometimes people pose questions that I will address on the air. And I want to read this. I'm not going to say the person's name or anything like that, but I want to read what they wrote to me, and I'm going to address it. I told them that I was going to address this on the air. And I do want to do that because I know that they're probably not the only one that have this question. And we know that narcissists love to draw you back in. They love to suck you back in. So if they are truly a narcissist, but I want to read this question to you. And they say, I have a question for you. How do you tell a genuine backslide into behavior by someone who is really trying to change versus if someone is unwilling to change and just trying, just doing enough or just trying just enough to make you think they are working on themselves. That's a good question. That is a really good question. And before we actually go into the our main subject dealing with that, I want to talk to you about, first of all, confession. And I want to come from the Bible with this. And those of you who are Christians, you'll know what I mean. And those of you who are not, you can still learn from this. And I pray that you will come to the light of knowing who Jesus is. The Bible lets us know that if we confess our sins, that God is faithful and just to forgive us and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. But when God talks about confession, it's not just lip service. Okay? It's not just lip service. And so I want to read to you from the book of Joel. The book of Joel and chapter 2 and verse 12. The book of Joel chapter 2 and verse 12. And I want to just give you a little history. And then we're going to go into some things to be on the lookout for when you're dealing with someone that's saying, I'm sorry, or knowing if the apology is truly sincere, and then if they fall back into old habits, or if they just did just enough just to woo you back in, but never had no intentions of actually changing. The Bible in the book of Joel chapter 2 and verse 12, it reads, even now declares the Lord. And before we go into that, let me just give you a little bit of history. Israel, the nation of Israel, the people of Israel during that time, they kept falling back into idolatry against God. Anytime that we are disobedient to God, it's like committing adultery, because God often compares us, as the body of Christ, His bride. And just as a person that is unfaithful in a relationship and they keep going back to doing to committing adultery, as we've committed adultery against God time and time again, then this is what Israel was doing to God. God was the faithful one who had brought them out of Egypt, out of slavery, out of bondage. And instead of being faithfully committed to Him, they kept going after other gods. They would worship Baal. They would worship Molech, sacrifice their children. They had become so wicked that they were doing things that even the wicked nations that would have been considered as wicked, they were doing worse than they were. And so God had told them that He was gonna at one point God allowed them to be taken over by Babylon and the Assyrians, and they were taken into captivity for 70 years. So this right here is referring to, what I'm about to read is referring to the idolatry and the adultery that Israel had done. But because God is loving, and because God is merciful and gracious to us, even when we're not even thinking about Him, this is what God had to say. He said, even now declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning. Rend your heart and not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, for He is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love. And He relents from sending calamity. Who knows? He may turn and relent and leave behind a blessing, grain offerings and drink offerings for the Lord your God. And let me just say, what was God saying here? He was telling them to first of all return back to him because they had gone so far away from him. And you notice here he says, return to me with all your heart, okay, because it's a heart thing. With fasting, with weeping, with mourning. What God was saying here, I want it to be genuine. And that's why he goes into rend your heart, not your garments. See, back in those days, a sign of sorrow was when they would tear their garments, or if they were going through, they may have lost someone through death or something like that. So that was an outward display of I'm sorrowful, I'm in mourning, or something of the likes. However, God was saying here, rend your heart, not your garments. What God was saying here, I need to see a real change. I don't want the outward display. See, oftentimes you will have people that just do enough just to look the appearance of, oh, I'm gonna just look as if I'm sorry. I'm gonna just do enough just to make it appear as if I am truly, truly sorry. But God was saying here, that's not good enough. I don't need you to rend your garments. I need you to rend your heart. I need you to have a heart change. And why? Because he is gracious and compassionate. The Bible says slow to anger and abounding in love. What God was saying, what God was saying is that, hey, I love you, but I can't deal with the fakeness. I can't deal with you not being real. I won't deal with you not being real. It's not good enough just for you to show it on the outside. So therefore, I need you to have a heart change. I need you to rend your hearts, not just your garments. I need you to rend your heart. I need to see a true heart change. Because at the end of the day, it's about a heart condition. And many people have heart conditions. So this leads me into what we're talking about today is understanding if a person is truly sorry, or is the sorry real? That's what you want to know. Is the sorry real? And I want to just say this before we get started, is you can't change a person. You can't change anyone. The only person you can change is you. No matter how much you love them, no matter how much you do for them, no matter how much you wish it, hope it, you can pray for them and pray that God would change their heart. You can do that. But the thing is, that person has to have the desire to change. And if there's no desire, then they won't change. But let's start off number one. And as always, I love to give you all websites to get valuable information. verilymag.com. Verilymag.com. We're going to be taking some things from there today. And number one, they have to show remorse. Remorse is not just sorry for an action, because you could be sorry that you got caught, okay? Because some people are just sorry that they got caught. But it's something that they're remorseful for having hurt you. They're remorseful for the things that they've done. The remorse means the individual has deep and painful regret for their action. Let me repeat that. The person has deep and painful regret for their action. Let me use a biblical character as an example. David. David was the apple of God's eye, but David did things wrong. And we all know about the story of Bathsheba. For those who have read the story, and for those who don't, he had this woman's husband killed because he had slept with her, got her pregnant. To cover up the scandal, he put him in the front line of war, knowing that he would more than likely die, and that's what happened. And so God didn't like it. God saw what he had done. See, David thought that his sin had been in secret, but God exposed it. But one of the things that David did, David was remorseful. David was truly sorry. And when we read in the Bible, when David says, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew the right spirit within me," David knew that he had done wrong. And so he was deeply sorry. And so when he said, "Create in me a clean heart," David knew that he had to have a change of heart that only God could give. And renew the right spirit within me. That means give me a change of heart. Replace it with the right spirit, your spirit. Because only after I've had a change of heart can I truly change for the better. And so David, he was not just sorry, "Oh, I got busted." No, he was sorry because he had sinned against God. So when someone is truly remorseful, they're not going to want to continue doing that particular thing. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that David ever did such a thing again. Okay? When you're truly remorseful, you have no desire to ever do that same action again. Number 2, they listen and ask questions. When someone is wanting to change and you approach them and you tell them, "Well, this is how I feel. This is what you did," they're not going to be defensive. See, when you're defensive, that means that, you know what, I don't see nothing wrong I did. I'm not truly changing anything. They're going to be on the defense when you talk about the action of how you feel. And that's why we talk about on this broadcast, your feelings do matter. When someone is truly sorry, they're not going to make excuses for what they did. They're not going to ignore your feelings. They're not going to be on the defense. They're going to listen to you, and they're going to ask questions as to how they can change, how they can make things better, how they can make you feel better, what they can do to make it right with you. How can we get in good standing again? See, one thing we learn from God is when we accept Christ into our heart, it's not just walking up to the altar and say, "Okay, I accept Jesus," and then I keep living the way I've been living. No, God expects us to do an about face. He wants us to make a U-turn. He wants us to truly have a repentant spirit to change. So you can't live like the devil that you were living and then saying, "Oh, I accept Christ and I'm sorry, but I'm going to keep doing the same thing I've been doing." No. Even with God, we listen to his. The Bible says that when you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. So we listen. And then we ask, we want to know, "God, what can I do to change?" We know that Jesus talked to Nicodemus about being born again. No, he couldn't physically, literally get back into his mother's womb. As he said, "Can I get back into my mother's womb?" No, God was talking about being born again, having a change of mind, having a change of heart, allowing the Lord to change you from the inside out, being born of the Spirit, not born of the flesh. That means that I'm not going to keep doing those same things again that I have done before to hurt God. And therefore, in this case, talking about hurting you. They're going to listen. They're going to want to know, what can I do to make this better? How can we get back on the right track? What can we do to change this situation? What do I need to do? I'm not passing the buck. I'm not blaming. What do I need to do to make this right? This is a person who is really wanting to change. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in just a moment.
Everybody needs a little time away. I heard her say from each other.
Advice to men: hard to say I'm sorry. And if you're truly sorry, it's something that needs to be said, but not just lip service. Again, we're talking about rending your hearts and not your garments. Number 3, that person is motivated by more than just you. One of the things that is Dr. Josh, if I'm pronouncing this right, Clapro. He's the chief behavior scientist at the University of Alabama. He says, motivation is influenced by our partner, but your partner is never the primary driving force for change. He explains that no one has the power to influence us so much as to have us make a permanent change. So basically what he's saying right here is motivation. You can be inspired by someone to change, but they can't be your only motivating force, your only primary driving force for that change. That person has to want to change because they see a need within themselves to change. So basically, you might say, this person might say, oh, well, I love you, I'm going to change. But do they understand that? Do you see that you need to change? Or you just doing it to get this person back? Or are you doing it because you're saying that I'm going to change because you see that, you know what, I do need to change. Yes, there is some things that I need to change. And because of that, it's not just I'm doing it for this person. I'm doing it because I need to be a better person. Whether I'm with this person or whether I'm not, there's a change that I need to make. Because if you're the only reason why the person is changing, then that's not going to last long. As soon as they get upset with you, as soon as there's a obstacle to come in the way, as soon as something happens, that if they see, they have to have an inward knowing that this is something that I have to do, not just for you. Number 4, you will know that it's true change if their actions improve, but not just overnight. This takes time. Change doesn't happen. Real change doesn't happen overnight. Some people can do things real quickly just to get you back into their good graces, but real change takes time. So even if you're expecting this person to change right away, change takes time. There's some things that you can stop doing right away, such as if the person has been unfaithful and they've been cheating on you. They can stop that right away. But see, the thing that takes time is, why were they cheating? To get to the reason, what do they need to change other than just the act of cheating in order to have true change? For example, if a person has a lust problem and that lust has caused them to cheat, okay, they may stop the cheating, but they need to deal still with the lust. This is why Jesus said that even if you lust upon a person in your heart, you have already committed the act. Why? Because emotional adultery takes place way before the physical adultery does. So you have to say, is this person really, really changing? Or is it just temporary? And again, you're going to see it through their actions. That takes time. So if you're thinking this is something that's going to be a fast process, it's not. And it's best to, even if you're separated from this person, don't rush to get back in if you know that there's some major issues that need to be dealt with. Counseling. You all need to be in counseling. If you're a couple and you're trying to put the marriage back together, need to be in counseling. And depending upon what the issue was or is, it takes time. That means that, yeah, you do have to take some time to see it. And let me just say this: if the person is rushing you to get back together with them, and they're doing it rush, and you tell them, hey, let's just take things slow, take time, because you need to be comfortable that this person has actually done a major change. And if they're rushing you and they're not respectful of you wanting to take that time, that's a sign right there. That's a sign that this may not be a true change. This might be something temporary, because they're rushing you, because they want to get you back in so they can go back to doing what they were doing. Take your time. Actions, true change doesn't just happen overnight, and you don't want it to be superficial. So that's why you need to allow time. One of the things that the Dr. Kaplow warned, he says, if changes are happening slowly, it's a sign that they're real and not superficial. Change comes only with time, consistency, and observable actions. That means that they're going to be consistent. They're not going to be one day on, one day off, the next. No, they're going to be consistent with the change. Now, one of the questions that the question that was posed within that question was, how do you know if it's just a like they backslid or relapse? That depends on what it was that they relapsed on. If you're an alcoholic, for example, and you may have been going through some things, and you might have gone and took up that drink again. You're not gonna stay drinking. You're gonna go to your AA meeting, go to call whoever your accountability partner is, and you're gonna let them know, hey, I fell off the bandwagon, I need help getting back up. The Bible says that a righteous man falls 7 times but gets back up again. That doesn't mean that I'm going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. That means sometimes I may backtrack and fall, but I'm going to get back up again. And I'm going to keep trying and keep trying. So you have to see, is this is this change, or this change, or this backslidden state, is this something that's habitual? Oh, I cheated and I fell into the sack again. No, that's not. No, that's something that you need to work out, and you have to decide if that. And I'm just using this as a scenario. If that's something that you want to deal with, because you don't just accidentally fall into the sheets with someone. If that person is abusive, they start back hitting you again. That is something that you don't have time for anyone to be backsliding on. You keep your fist to yourself. Go take a run. Go take a walk. Go to the gym. Use your actual punching bag, but I'm not it. Depending upon what the action is, the backslidden action is. And the thing is, if a person wants to change, they're going to do what it takes to make things right, because, again, they see the need within themselves to change. And people that have been victimized by abusers or toxic people, you have to be willing to slow the roll down yourself and wait and say, you know what, we're rushing things. We don't need to go too fast. Let's slow things down and see how things progress. You have to be willing to wait and say, I need to see for myself over time if this person has changed. Because if you don't allow them the time to do the work, then you're going to be getting yourself back into a similar situation that you just left. Time will tell. If that person has backslidden, what type of backslide is it? And take your time to see, are they truly trying to change? Time will tell. You can only fake things for so long. Time will tell. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
You say you don't know what you were thinking. Well, neither do I. And after all the time we spent together, you think you deserve another try. Well, girl, I don't know what it is that you're expecting. Just because you look me in the eye and say you're sorry, oh, you're sorry. You want it back the way it was. Well, I'm sorry, but sometimes sorry just ain't good enough. You say you never meant to hurt me. Well, that might be true. But do you really think I should forgive you for what you put me through? Oh, I remember every time you said you loved me, but I know now your love was just a lie. And you say you're sorry, oh, you're sorry. You want it back the way it was. Well, I'm sorry, but sometimes sorry just ain't good enough. Oh, girl, I don't know what it is that you're expecting. Just because you look me in the eye and say you're sorry. Oh, you're sorry, so sorry. And you want it back the way it was. Well, I'm sorry, but sometimes sorry just ain't good enough.
I'm Sorry by Blake Sheldon featuring Martina McBride. Sometimes sorry, just saying I'm sorry, ain't good enough. Number 5, your gut is telling you it's real. One of the things that God has placed on the inside of us is our ability to have instincts. For us as Christians, we call it discernment. And if you don't know if this person is true, then me as a believer, I believe in asking God, is this person really sorry? One of the things that God requires is for us to be authentic and genuine with our apologies, with our sorrow. You have 2 kings in the Bible that were mentioned that we can compare. King Saul, who was the first king of Israel, and King David. Both of these kings did things to displease God at some point in their lives. However, there was a difference between the two. One God stayed with, and one God abandoned. King Saul was disobedient to God on a couple of occasions, and God left him. King David was disobedient. We know about Bathsheba, and then he counted his men in the census that God didn't approve of, and God judged David. However, the difference between them was David had a heart of repentance and true sorrow, whereas King Saul, although he verbally said and acted as if he was sorry, he wasn't. He didn't have that heart to truly change. And this is why he was always chasing after David, because King Saul wasn't sorry about anything. He made excuses instead of owning up to his sin. And therefore, those were the two differences between these two kings. God stayed with one, and God left King Saul. It's not about if you mess up. It's about, are you truly sorry to change, to see that you have a need for change. And when you read in the Psalms, you can read all throughout the Psalms where David, he said he was sorry to God, and he apologized to God, and that's why when we talk about creating me a clean heart, oh Lord, and renew the right spirit within me. And David knew he had done things wrong, and he was sorry about those things, and God accepted it. David was punished for things. David lost his first son with him and Bathsheba, but God gave him another one, Solomon. David was judged with for counting his men, and a lot of people in Israel died as a result of David's sin. But David went to God, Lord, I'm the one that committed this sin. David was truly sorry. Number 5, when you talk about knowing it in your gut, I'm talking about for those who are Christians, spiritual discernment, or asking God, Lord, is this person real? Your instincts will tell you. If you're questioning, then that means you might need to slow things down, and you need to wait a little longer to see what they show you over time. Number 6, you're in it together. That means that when a person wants to change, then you two will grow together. That's a sign that a person is changing for the better, is if the relationship between you two continues to get stronger and not more toxic. Toxic relationships, when the person has not truly changed, will keep being toxic, and you'll keep going through this cycle of abuse. But when a person is really wanting to change, things will grow, things will get better, you'll be stronger, your relationship will grow better, and you will see that that person is not doing those same things. And let me just say this, even if a person sees that they have that they did something that they once used to do, they're going to immediately self-correct. That's another thing, self-correction. They're gonna say, you know what, because you're gonna talk to yourself and like, you know what, this is what caused problems before. I don't want to do this again. I got to go back to what I was doing before. Some of this we deal with in cognitive behavior therapy. When you know your actions, you know your emotions, you know things that you talk to yourself in order to redirect your thinking, redirect your behavior. You have to be in tune with what it is that you need to change. And even if you fall, you get back up again and self-correct. It's just like when you use a GPS and you might make a wrong turn, even though the GPS is saying left, right, turn north, south, whatever case may be, and you make a wrong turn. What is the GPS going to do? Reroute. And so every person has to have this on the inside of them. Whereas when you know you're going in the wrong direction, even if you have made a wrong step, and even if you have backslid and did something wrong, something within you, for those who are truly wanting to change, is going to reroute and say, you know what, I gotta get back on course. I can't see if they backslide and they stay in a backslidden state, that's trouble. But if they self-correct and say, you know what, I fell backwards into a pattern that I had. Let me get back on course. I can't do this. I can't stay like this. Because change is not just stopping and not starting back up. Change is a continuous process. You're saying, I want to keep growing. I don't want to stay. I don't want to be the person that I used to be. I want to keep growing. And so therefore, even if I mess up, I'm going to get back. And then another thing, when you're talking about backsliding behavior, you're talking about you want to know that that person is taking your feelings into consideration. They're knowing that what they're doing has hurt you, and therefore they don't want to keep repeating it. It's just like if someone says something, that they shouldn't have said, they hurt your feelings, and they're going to say, they realize they hurt your feelings, and they're going to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. They're not going to just keep twisting the knife. They're going to stop and self-correct. And so when you weigh these things that we've talked about today, you will know if that person is truly genuine. Again, if you want to know if they've truly changed, time will tell. If you rush things, you will get temporary. It's like a license plate. You get temporary tags. It's not the real tag. It's just there temporarily. You can't keep driving on it after so many days. Same thing with these type of individuals. They only gonna be able to hold that facade for so long if it's temporary, and then they're gonna go back to the real deal. Time will tell. Most importantly, I believe in going to God and asking God for help. If you don't know, ask God, because no one can fool God. He sees everything, and He sees what you don't see. He hears what you don't hear. He knows what you don't know. All right, we are up out of here. I pray that today's broadcast has been a blessing to you, and that on your road to recovery, you will know that your feelings do matter. Never ignore your feelings. This is Dr. K.O. Rich. Until next time.